Hi, cities. How are you doing? Welcome to Naya Sim, and thank you all so much for all the love and support. Hope you all are doing great. About a few months ago, I actually brought about what was going on uh, between Jamal Bowman and who is a progressive candidate from New York and has a running mate who is George Latimer. You all remember that I came here to talk about how APAC is a Jewish lobby was pumping a lot of money into George Latimer's campaign and supporting him with so much money. And you all remember that Jamal Bowman was very vocal all through the period, telling them that what's going on or what it's going on is genocide and that should not be encouraged and the rest of it. And now, as of yesterday, because yesterday was their primaries, and Jamal Bowman actually lost, right? And a lot of people are also trying to enlighten a lot of people about the importance of always coming out to vote, especially your favorite candidate, or especially for people that look like me, especially when you know that they have been doing something great and you want to keep them back. And a lot of people are also saying that Jamal did not listen to the people that he was representing, that he was focusing so much on morals and speaking a lot about what it's going on or supporting Palestine. You know what? Let's get into this.
Jamal Bowman, a black progressive candidate from New York, just lost his Democratic primary race to George Latimer, a centrist, damn near conservative, supported by Republicans, backed by APAC adjacent organizations. Yeah, the thing that irritates my soul is that George Latimer won off the strength of misinformation. The reason why not voting is a perspective I can understand, but I am so vehemently opposed to, is because this is how this shit works. And they'll explain it to you in 5th grade if you pay attention. When I was in middle school up into like early high school, I would play this game called Race to the White House. Basically, you like flew from state to state, clicked on little stuff to like try to persuade the state to come towards your party's color or whatever, and get as many electoral votes as possible, just like an election. You could choose different things that you wanted to do and it would sway the public in a certain amount. You could select an issue, do like a negative ad, and then be like, oh, my opponent doesn't like this thing. I do. Vote for me. And that would sway people's opinion a certain amount so you could try to win the state. That, unironically, is how politics in the United States work, because so many people are clocked out doing so many different things that if you only pay attention to an election every so often and every time you look at it, it's this candidate said this bad thing. Oh my God, would you believe this candidate supports this? You're automatically going to associate that candidate with negative things, subconsciously or not. So when George Latimer, a candidate literally funded by APAC and APAC adjacent organizations, whose whole goal has been to knock off candidates who've been supporting a ceasefire, says that Jamal Bowman has taken money from Hamas. And then when a constituent asks for proof, the proof is a link to a far-right news website that didn't even say that Jamal Bowman took money from Hamas, but then he didn't retract the statement and doubled down and was like, oh, he's okay with all the stuff that's happening, while you are taking the money from the organization representing the country and the army that is currently doing what Hamas did and worse. Most people on the ground who probably don't have the time to be too concerned about the matter are only going to see Jamal Bowman, Hamas, and they're going to negatively associate the two. And then when all is said and done and you win the election this way, I go on the internet and you tell me that, oh, he lost really because he strayed too far to the left, as if there was not a concerted propagandistic effort to get Jamal Bowman out of there because he's been vocally against the occupation of Gaza and wants a ceasefire. So what do? This is why voting is so important. This is why politics and making sure that you're up to date with everything is so important. At the end of the day, it is your vote that people like George Latimer want to buy. And it is your ignorance that they will utilize in order to buy that vote from you. Creators like myself are here specifically to inform you on the platform that you spend the most of your time on. And when they can't buy us, that's why they want to shut us down. We have to stay armed with knowledge, and we have to be able to build up the infrastructure to make sure that candidates like George Latimer cannot just win based off of literally saying bullshit, but framing it as, oh, I'm just protecting the Jewish community. And if we have no serious institutions institutional groundwork to make sure that that infrastructure is there, we will never achieve the class consciousness necessary to get anything major done in this country or about this system that we're in. So we vote for everything. I'm talking local stuff, school board, municipality stuff, literally everything that you can to make sure progressives and people that support real human beings are in those areas of power. Because the more of those people you have, the more progressive politics get normalized. For example, if we had everyone in your state up until like the Senate level believing that we should have universal health care, and then the motherfucker running on the Democratic side for senator is like, nah, we shouldn't. The fuck do you mean we shouldn't? It's already become politically expected for you to believe that shit. It's not gonna be easy. People aren't just gonna roll over and let that happen. But do y'all want to sit at home and look and complain about it? Or do y'all want to bankroll these motherfuckers who think that those institutions are safe and bend them to our will? I know what answer I want, because we already know as black people, they don't care. They not gonna care. Unless you force them to care. And you have to use every tool at your disposal, including yes voting. Because the one thing that conservatives and corporate Democrats don't want you to do is to make an informed vote, because then that would directly threaten their pockets. It's the way I see it.
Do you want to help us beat AIPAC? Because right now I'm giving you that chance. There's a huge battle happening between these two people. This guy on the left, his name's George Latimer, and a few months ago AIPAC recruited him. Why? To oust this guy on the right, Jamal Bowman. Jamal currently holds the seat, and he's been calling for a ceasefire. He's been going to pro-Palestinian protests. He's been rejecting the pro-Israel lobby and its influence, and he correctly labels what's going on in Gaza as a genocide. And AIPAC can't have that. If you don't know much about the pro-Israel lobby, here's what they do. You can break it up into 3 parts. Their first job is to make sure that the U.S. government maintains unconditional support for Israel, no matter what Israel does. Their second job is to make sure that U.S. politicians want to keep sending billions and billions of our tax dollars to Israel. And their third job is to make sure that any politician who's not completely loyal to Israel or criticizes Israel in any way is ousted from power. So this is what AIPAC, the #1 pro-Israel lobby in the United States, is doing to Jamal Bowman. They're trying to oust him. Here's what they've done so far. George Latimer, before he announced his election, went on a 3-day mission which he led to Israel, where he met the president of Israel, Isaac Herzog. And as soon as he came back to the United States, he announced he was running to challenge Jamal Bowman for his seat. Then AIPAC immediately endorsed George Latimer and gave him over $600,000. And then their super PAC, the United Democracy Project, which you can think of as just a branch of AIPAC, because that's exactly what it is, spent over $2 million in ads. By the spring, AIPAC was funding over 70% of George Latimer's campaign, but that's not even where it stops. Over the past month, the United Democracy Project has spent over $13.5 million against Jamal Bowman. I need you to understand how crazy this is. Nobody spends this much on a House race ever, except the pro-Israel lobby, because this is what they do. To make sure they oust whoever criticizes Israel or isn't loyal to Israel, they will spend an exorbitant amount of money, as much as they need to make sure that pro-Palestinian or anti-Israel or anti-Zionist or any critics of Israel are gone. So here's a few ways you can fight, and you do whatever you can do. Right now is early voting, and their election is on June 25th, making this the most critical time to flip votes. And so I have a link in my bio where you can donate $16 for the 16th district and support Jamal Bowman. Next up, obviously, if you live in the 16th congressional district in New York or know anybody who lives there, tell them or you yourself vote for Jamal Bowman. Share this message out there. Get more people to see this video so they can do these things. Maybe you have friends who are pro-Palestinian. Maybe they aren't even pro-Palestinian, but you just want to teach them about this. Repost this video, put it on your stories, download it, post it yourself, send the link to people over text messages. And if you don't want to send this video, you can send somebody the donation page. It's bit.ly/beatAIPAC. The last 2 ways you can help fight is follow Jamal Bowman on his socials and interact with him, repost his stuff as well. Or talk about this whole video on your own. Make your own content. Do your own research. Tell people to go and help him out. This is the fiercest race of this election cycle, besides probably the presidential election. We must show AIPAC that we can beat them, but it'll take all of our help. Share this video. Thank you, and free Palestine.
Jamal Bowman lost his primary last night, which means Jamal Bowman will not be continuing on as a House member. He's done. He'll serve out the rest of his term. And in 2025, his challenger, George Latimer, will be now representing that district. I didn't talk a lot about what was going on with Jamal Bowman. I like Jamal Bowman, but Jamal Bowman was making some missteps. In the world of politics, the voices that you first have to listen to are the voices in the district that you represent, right? You are in this position to represent the people in your district. That's first and foremost. The people in Jamal Bowman's district are predominantly Jewish. Jamal Bowman's voting record did not represent his voting base, his district, his constituents. There were several anti-Semitism bills that came up for a vote, and he voted no. Jamal Bowman was very vocal for a ceasefire. Is that wrong? Absolutely not. But how will the constituents in your district that you represent take to you calling for a ceasefire? You completely ignore what went down on October 7th. His constituents in his base, in his district, they didn't take too kindly to that. While Jamal Bowman was out there campaigning, he railed against AIPAC. I don't have a problem with him railing against AIPAC. I believe AIPAC is a huge problem. I don't understand why AIPAC hasn't been forced to register as a foreign agent. Yeah, they buy politicians, and they buy politicians to support another country, Israel. That's problematic. Politicians are supposed to represent Americans here in the United States. So I don't have a problem with Jamal Bowman calling out AIPAC and railing against them for what it is that they're doing. However, I'm not in Jamal Bowman's district. I'm not a Jewish American individual. I can imagine that Jewish Americans in his district would have a problem with that. You are voted in to represent the people in your district, their values, their wants, their needs, what they want out of the government. Jamal Bowman forgot that at some point. His voting record did not represent the people in his district. There were anti-Semitism bills that came up for a vote. He voted against each and every one of them. And these days, voters are educated. They are educated because they've got content creators like myself who tell them where they can go to look up these congressmen and women's voting record. You can look up the voting record to see how this person you voting for is representing you and your wants and your needs. How is this person voting to make your life better? When you get voted into office, it's not about you and your morals and what it is that you want. And the constituents, the voting base in Jamal Bowman's district, they went to the polls on yesterday and they voted for the person that they felt would be more representative of what it is that they want in their congressmen, who would better represent them, who would be a voice for them. I like Jamal Bowman, but when it comes to politics, it's not about you and your morals and what it is that you want and your agenda. In addition to all of this, Jamal Bowman voted against huge Democratic legislation, the infrastructure bill, number one. The Jewish population in Jamal Bowman's district, they had a huge problem with that. Yes, there was a lot of lies flowing about Jamal Bowman and him supporting Hamas. Jamal Bowman was supporting the Palestinian people. He didn't want the Palestinian people to be wiped out. I completely understand that. But when you're out speaking against a country that represents the people in your district, maybe you should have some town halls with the people in your district. Maybe you should have some conversations with the people in your district on this very touchy issue, so you can better understand them and they can better understand you. You better understanding them and them better understanding you makes you and the people in your constituency a partnership. Going around railing against AIPAC, that's not going to do it. Because you railing against AIPAC, oh yeah, the people on social media who are in support of Palestinians, they loved it. However, that's a small minority. That's a small bubble of people on social media. The people on social media who are way far left, yeah, that doesn't necessarily translate to the real world. It doesn't. They don't represent your voting base. They are just voices on social media. When I tell you I've been doing this and I'm true to this. Now, Jamal Bowman has talked about, there's rumors swirling that Jamal Bowman may end up showing up on the ballot as a third-party candidate. We've talked about how third-party candidates work. And to all of the white liberals who are also loving Jamal Bowman because of his pro-Palestinian stance, but you also love and support Hillary Clinton, yeah, she was one of the nails in Jamal Bowman's coffin. So when we give respect to Hillary Clinton, we give respect to Hillary Clinton because, yes, all of the things that she said about Donald Trump were true, came to pass. But black people are clear on who and what Hillary Clinton is and represents. George Latimer, for what I hear, I don't know much about him, but from what I hear, he's just another Joe Manchin. He's supported by Republican corporations, millionaires and billionaires. So a bunch of Jewish people went to the voting booth to support a candidate that says he's Democrat but is highly supported by Republicans. How you like them apples?
Tonight, Jamal Bowman, one of the most progressive members of Congress, lost the primary for New York's 16th district. And as with most political elections these days, you have to ask, how was Israel involved in this? Bowman lost to a more moderate Democrat, 70-year-old George Latimer. And George's campaign alone received $1.6 million from the pro-Israel lobby. To dig a little deeper, this was the most expensive House primary on record, with over $24 million contributed on behalf of the pro-Israel lobby. That's $24 million that Israel by themselves contributed to a political election in New York. But why did Israel want Jamal gone so bad? Well, Jamal, a young progressive Democrat, age 48, has been very vocal about things such as the TikTok ban and a ceasefire in Palestine. Overall, the pro-Israel lobby spent over $17 million in regards to this race. It's a shame that as a
Jamal Bowman just lost his primary to a man named George Latimer, who received $14 million from AIPAC, as well as another Democratic PAC or whatever. And I can't help but feel like this marks a bad omen for the Democratic Party. We are not actively watching as millions of dollars are being funneled against primary candidates, specifically seeking out people who are pro the Israeli government. We now definitively know as a collective country that if you are either Republican or Democrat who speaks out against Israel, the Israeli project, you will lose your primary. Why? Because millions of dollars will be funneled against you to make sure you lose it. And again, this is one of those moments that as Americans, we have to reach this moment with alarm. Our political parties are telling us that if you are someone who fights against what they want, if you and not necessarily saying what the people want, but what they want as politicians, they will do everything in their power to have you removed. I think this continues to mark an incredibly dark path we've been on for the last 9 months. And I also think that it's incredibly important that as Black people, we recognize the fact that Black people are expendable to the status quo, always have been and always will be, particularly when you go up against the establishment. I'm not going to say that he was perfect in his voicing of concerns against Israel and what they are doing, but I will say we are looking less and less likely of having anyone who has any pro-Palestine sentiments whatsoever being in any political position starting in 2025.
So this is all I got from this video. And now let me tell you something. I remember that I posted something like this before the primary election about 2 months ago. The second video after JJ's video, the second video was when that they were trying to alert people so they could come out to vote for Bowman and all that, Jamal Bowman, And you all already know what it's like. I mean, when you do not support Israel, I mean, AIPAC look for a way to kick you out and then put people that are for them. This is not new. It's something that they've been doing. You all remember what happened during the Congress and all that. And they have actually been on this for several months, and which I also brought out the people that were during the Congress meeting, people that were for Israel and people that were against what they were, the genocide that was happening and all of that. Has Jamal been vocal with everything going on? He has really been vocal, truthful to an extent and all that. This is politics. Though, where Sister Tabitha, she said something that I think I really do have a little problem with that. I am not saying she's wrong. She is not wrong. She is right. But what I am saying is that this election has actually been already programmed. It's not like something that I knew from the onset when he started voicing out about his his problem with Israel and Palestine, being vocal about it. I knew something was going to happen when I also found out that he was also coming back for, wanting to keep his seat back, right? So it was at that point that he lost it. I understood what Sister Tabitha said. Tabitha said that, she said that sometimes when it is politics, you listen to what the people want and not what you want. But then where I have problem is that if what the people want is also against your morals, like you said, sometimes politics is not about morals or what you think. It's about what the people you are serving. But we already know that what is going on is not good. And majority of the people in the town hall, like, she also mentioned that there is need for him to have a town hall meeting to know what the people want and all that, because he is serving, or he is serving the people. But you all already know majority of them are supporting the Jewish, and also knowing fully well that his own place, or where he is, his constitution is also, like, made up of so many Jewish, right? And you all already know that a lot of bills has also been passed, and testimonies, so many of it has actually been passed. So I am thinking, like, I do not know it all. I want you all to know this, and do not think that I do not know it all. But where I'm having problem is, like she said, that that Jamal would have listened to what the people want because he is serving the people. What if what the people, or probably, like, playing, it's more like Jamal should have played dumb and follow what the people want and be less vocal, because most times politics, you really have to be intellectually smart and at the same time manipulative, because most of them are very manipulative, And also, like she said, that most of the votes that were being the person that is representing a particular constitution, that there are some infrastructures that if you vote against or vote for, they could actually see it, right? So they can assess that to know, did he vote for, did he vote against our interest or against our interest and all that. So sometimes it's something that could, like, you could apply wisdom and all that and forget about morals, but morals are really very important. Integrity are really very important. So for me, but right now it's not about me, it's about how do we maneuver all this? Because I have been saying it that we Black people really need to get into politics so much, because it's not all about sports. It's not all about probably music. We will need to be there. Every section, we need Black people there, because in the end, it's going to be for our own interest. So I absolutely would love to hear from you all. What is the suggestion, like, because maybe something like this will also happen and another person will fall into a trap, because you all already know when you are not for AIPAC, they look for a way to take you out, because they want to put people that are for them. You all over, because I keep asking, why is it that AIPAC got so much power in the United States? I know how wealthy the Jewish are, I know they are wealthy, but being wealthy is different from being powerful, like having power. They are not just rich or wealthy, they are also very powerful politically. And I am asking, how did they leave Israel, where their main headquarters is, and move to the United States and became very powerful to the extent that they would decide who we want to be in a particular place and who they do not want to be in a particular place. So I am not condemning anybody, and I am not saying that Jamal being truthful is bad, or Sister Tabitha saying that he should have applied wisdom, which I also agree with. But I really want us to let us know what would have been the best way to handle this, because I don't know it all, right? So let me know what would have been the best way to handle this situation, because other people are going to read about it. I also will read in case if there is need for me to advise another candidate coming out for anything or speak up on what is going on. We can actually say, yes, you are supposed to voice out to a particular point. You are not supposed to voice out at a particular point in time. If you are politically inclined, or you read political science, why not? Please let me know. I absolutely want to know, because this is a little bit dicey, but all I know is that from the onset, they did not want Jamal Bowman to be there. Why? Because he was very outspoken with what was going on. And, you know, also remember that they also said that allegedly he was supporting Hamas, which to this very moment, they did not retract the word. So that is actually out there also working against them. Let me know what you all think in the comment section. I'll see you all in my next video. Bye for now.